Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I have another Marine ECM, this time coming from Texas. William, this is your computer. He actually sent this computer last year. And then since then, he's been having issues. I said, like, well, you know, I tested here and it was working good. He is now sending it like, Mike, I have a problem with one of the bank of injectors. It's not working fine. I'm like, well, you know, send it over. I'll definitely help you. No charge on the test. Let me see if I can at least reproduce the concern. And luckily, I can. All right, so let me show you the connections. I have the computer connected and running, and the reason I'm doing that is because I want to make sure that I don't lose what is happening now. So this is a ZR6. Let me just get in here. It's a 2006 Nautic SB211 PCM ZR6 with a MEFI 4B. The computer is actually a 125A4052. That's the part number of the computer. And again, this was here before. I got a whole nodes and repair that he has done and testing and everything. I'm like, Mike, you know, and he said it's like affected injector bank is injector bank B, and that is exactly what I have now. So what I want you to see is like, okay, this system has 8 ignition coil drivers. I have 4 of them connecting behind me, and you can see it running in here. So 6 of those slices just to make sure that I have everything. And then the other 2 are connected in here on these blue lights. Then the injector bank A and bank B here. You can see the injector bank A is nice and bright. Again, the one on this side. But bank B is there, but not really. So it's a little hard to see there for me. Right here, I can see it immediately. So what I end up doing, and I put like the picoscope and the diagram. So this actually is frozen capture. I have to reconnect my oscilloscopes. I don't know what sometimes does that. But let me just make sure that you can see, and this is also for William, that the actual computer is running. So I'm going to put the RPMs in the screen. Let me just make sure that you can see that. Yes, you can. And I'm going to put another one for fault codes. So you can see there is absolutely 0 trouble codes, which is odd. It should be given fault codes. All right, now let me go over to the oscilloscope, which is now static. But before I've changed anything, well, I know my circle is gone. Okay, now I'm there. So you understand what you're seeing on the bottom image. The blue channel is connected to injector bank A. And what we see, the upper line is battery voltage and it's being pulled down to ground. Pretty good. I can put a cursor in there. Let me just move some things in here because they are in my way. All right, so I can move the cursor or put the cursor so I can measure that voltage. It's a little small for you probably to read, but it says 13.2 volts. If I move that same cursor down to the bottom of that same waveform signal, it's around 0.12. So that is what it's supposed to be. I do the same thing. I'm moving the channel. If I move this, if I do the same measurement on the red channel, I have battery voltage on the upper line of that waveform, and then when we are seeing the activation, which is happening, but it's very, very small, it's only pulling that circuit to 10.82. That's not good. It has to be pulled to ground like injector bank A. So let me reconnect the oscilloscope. Trying to reopen and reselect the oscilloscope, which for some reason it disconnected. Okay, now you can see the signals moving in there. Going to move these things a little bit so I can get in to see that better. Yes, it's still moving properly. And I'm going to get the trigger off. Like that you can see the complete. Because you're not supposed to have a trigger when you're capturing a signal. When you know that it's there, you can put a trigger because you don't want to use a trigger because you can change your channel with the signals moving. Sometimes it's too small, you cannot see it, and the trigger might miss it. So that's why you start with no trigger, and then when you know the signals are there and what the amplitude of the signals are, you can put then a trigger that will stop the capture once per screen on the oscilloscope, at least on picoscope. That's how it works. But yeah, we can see I'm going to now put the trigger back again. I'm going to set it up to automatic into channel A. You can see that the bottom signals, which are the coils that are happening in different positions, you can see they are not the same window because this picoscope records those images in windows. if you see up in the top, we are reading, it's actually covered, I could get it in my way in here. We're reading 64 windows. If I stop this and I do it again, I start from 0 and counting until 64, which is the total amount of windows that are being recorded on the buffer, and I can stop and revisit those 64 windows. But either when it reaches the 64, it will erase the first one, and then the first one, erase one at a time, right? And it's going to make that move as the signals are changing. But yeah, we can see the same situation happening in here. So we do have definitely a problem on this computer this time. I want to stop this 1 second because I want to show you the video of the first visit. I'm going to get all this out of the way, and I'm going to move you over to my capture, that's my screen on my computer. And I'm going to take you over to the YouTube channel. This is the first visit that William sent this computer. And that video is from, let me just see, because he had the concern of bad injector driver, didn't know which one was. I have to make this, I click on full screen. It's this one, the one I have to click. And then we can scroll down, and that was 9 months ago. So you can see right here where it says 239 views 9 months ago. That's the video that you see there. And I want you, the reason I'm showing this video is because I want you to see that I do have connected, and I have, you know, in my image, what that is happening. Injector bank B pulse of 2.6 milliseconds, and is being pulled to ground, to completely zero. Which is, I'm going to scroll, you know, to just let her run so you can see the signals onto the small window. Can I do a zoom? No, I can just go maximum. But if you see right here, we can see I have only 3 channels on my oscilloscope that day. And I have one on the coil, which is the blue line, on the blue light, sorry. And then the 2 green signals were there completely present. And it was, again, no fault codes whatsoever to go by as far as he's concerned. So I'm like, I'm sorry, William, but I cannot reproduce your concern. I'm not going to make a repair on something I cannot reproduce, because what if the problem is in the boat? And I cannot help you with that because it's working. And I had that computer running for 2 hours. Or an hour, so 1 hour. And I said, I'm sorry, but I cannot. So this is exactly the same computer that was 9 months ago. But this time now here, I'm going to now put this on the main screen. I can now put this here and put the, this is, again, the oscilloscope on the left side, and the diagram, which is the diagnostics, on the right side. This computer, as you see, is running well. As far as the rest, we have 0 trouble codes to go by, which is very odd. But I mean, that all depends on the calibration. Whoever wrote this calibration, make it like if it's any signal, the computer can see any signal, it will not set up a fault. And we can see that the computer is commanding the injector bank A at 2.9 milliseconds, and so is the injector B. So both banks in 2.9. If I set the capture on the left side, and I make now the cursors, this is probably going to be a lot better for you guys to see that. I'm going to measure first the blue channel. That's the on time, and it's around 3 I mean, I'm not that close because I can zoom in and there. That's not an issue. I can definitely zoom in. And let me move this to where I am. Now we can be more precise, right? Because that's what, is nice about, but the oscilloscopes. But we are in 3.2 milliseconds. So 2.9, 3.2, the reality is 3.2. It's okay. That's perfect. So if we move and do the same thing, I'm going to take the zoom off, and we measure the activation on the red channel, even though it's not being pulled completely to ground. I'm going to do a zoom in there to be very close, but we're in 3.5 milliseconds. And if I go close to where the reality is, 3.3, so pretty much exactly the same as in the blue channel, but the computer is not being able to pull that completely to ground. So this is excellent because now I can definitely reproduce Williams problem, I'm going to put the two cursors on the horizontal way so we can see the voltages. Now that I am in my screen view, you can see probably better the values. And we can see how the upper side of that waveform in the red channel is 13.19 volts, and the bottom is in 10.5. If we go over to the blue channel, again, and do a zoom in here, and we put the cursors in here, we got the same battery voltage in the upper side of the waveform, but then when it's being pulled to ground, it's in 0.08. That's a perfect ground. So that driver is good, is working as it's supposed to. So William, this is definitely 100% your problem. I'm going to contact you now because he actually just texts me. He's like, have you checked my computer? Were you able to reproduce something? I'm like, I always try to, get this, and I have like 4 more computers MEFI 4 that I can check now because I don't want to just work into one computer. Sometimes it's a delay, but I have plenty of them. I just had more computers of auto repair, like the Mostens and so on, that you saw that were ahead of time in here. But yeah, definitely this is no doubt William's concern, and I'm going to contact to make sure that he approved the repairs, and we go from there. All right, so I'll be right back, guys. All right, guys, I spoke to William, and he approved the repairs. Luckily for him, he also actually let me know that this was in another facility. I'm not even going to put the name because this is going to stay between me and William. If he wants to disperse it, it's up to him in the video. But yeah, that's a place in California that should not even touching computers. They are absolutely garbage. This place did rip a few of the components and created jumpers. Like, I have never seen not even a beginner do such a sloppy and destruction on a board that is so delicate. As I always mention in this video, these computers they need skills, they need the correct tools, they need the correct materials, because it's just so much you can do. They ripped 2 of the components. Luckily for William, as I was able to install back and then correct the problems on the injector driver circuit. And the computer is now fully functional. But I tell him, it's like, oof, if this was into somebody else, let me open it up to see what I find, because it was definitely very badly done. That's all I can say. And I will send William. We'll have the pictures. If he wants to disperse, it's up to him. I don't like to give even bad or good reputation to no one. Like, as I just going to say, it's a place in California. It should not be touching computers, realistically. Stay with the calibration, because that's all you do, and that's it. But repairs, leave it to someone that knows what it's doing, because this was definitely junk. All right, let's go into the computer now. Let me turn the lamps off in here, because now you will be immediately, and this is how I test it. I don't really need the oscilloscope or anything to tell me when a computer is now fixed or working properly, because look at now the 2 drivers. And the reason I was not able to reproduce his concern is because it was partially connected. So the last time when that computer came here, it was there working fine, because I don't have the shaking and temperatures and loads that are on the engine. And even though I heat the computers and everything, these gels absorb a lot of what you can do. But the shaking when the motor is starting, they are definitely not. That's definitely something only a motor can do. But you can now see the 2 injector drivers completely flickering at the same color. I got, again, 2 coils in there, and the rest of the coils right behind me, right there. You can see the rest of the 6 coils. It's a total of 8. All right, so now that we saw that, I'm going to take you over to my screen where I have the picoscope and the diagram connected, because this is definitely a better view, a better way to show you. Definitely I can see the signals myself in my screen. That will be a lot better for you guys to see. All right, so again, we have no trouble because there was some in history for coils. And let me just open that circuit, or not that circuit, that folder, 1 second. The history of this visit. Let me make that a full screen, and let me zoom in. So yeah, this was in the history, and also in the first time they using this computer William. Make sure that maybe he's unplugging things and maybe he's doing tests and set up all these faults because it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So 2, 4, 6, 8, all the cool drivers. So he maybe wasn't plugging things and was setting up these faults. Here we don't have that situation. So let's just, so you can see in here, the engine is running and there is absolutely no trouble codes. I'm going to put the RPMs as I did before. Not sure why it puts it up in the top. And then no trouble codes. And this is enough of a test as far as the drivers for the injectors. Now you can see the two signals. The blue and the red right there, and the two bottom ones are coils, which never have a problem. And I'm going to put the cursors right one time. I can put two cursors per, just horizontal. But we can see blue channel 13 to 132 millivolts. I'm going to use, actually I can use different channels or different cursors for each channel. And then go down to this one. And now, well, that one actually frozen up, but it's okay. It frozen into that recording. We can see we are in 200 millivolts. Let me plug up and plug back in the, I don't know why it does that. It's so often it does it in here. Not sure if it's the buffer on my computer, what is it, but like you can see is active and working. But is now that driver being able to pull is actually, if I put it all the way to the bottom, it's in 0.07. So like at 0.7 of a volt in the ground. What is that? It's pulling completely to ground as perfect. So this is 100% repair. I'm going to keep this computer here running for probably 1 hour, just to make sure I don't see any glitches or nothing. If that happens, I will come back to the video, but this is very specific, and looking at what they did in there is absolutely, that was created by the sloppy repair. I will tell Will that I will request a refund from that company, because what they did is a completely bucher. Please stay away from touching hardware. Stay with calibrations and tunes, and that's what you do, but don't touch computers, because unless, if you want to learn, practice, but don't practice in customers' computers. Get a board and start soldering and polish your skills. Buy equipment, that you can do a proper test and a proper repair, but not that kind of repair. And I'm going to tell you, it was big balls of solder. It ripped. Not even the solder, ripped the components out. Luckily for Will, I was able to at least solder, because this is a composite hybrid material. It's almost like a printed board in here. It's very hard. Luckily for Will, I was able to solder back those components, BGT transistor that acts as a diodes, that were ripped out. I don't know why. It's completely not necessary to remove anything to repair, to do a normal repair that I do on these computers. I don't remove ever nothing. And yes, sometimes I replace components, but then I remove and install. I don't rip components out, right? But yeah, not everybody does the same thing. All right, guys, thank you so much. I hope that you like the content. I'm about to reach 100,000 subscribers. I think I'm almost in 98,000 subscribers, guys. This is amazing. Let me show you. I can wait for that 100,000 mark to reach, to be possible, so I can get that plate in here. I'm in 97,700. Let me show you that. That is my YouTube channel. And as you can see, I had 97,700 subscribers. So if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Help me reach that 100,000 subscribers so I can get that plate in here. I'm very humble. Thank you so much, guys, for your support. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.